check out the Fuso starting grid for you, and we'll look at the way in which these boys will line up this afternoon. And it's another pole position in 2013 for Shane van Gisbergen. He'll start alongside Will Davison. Best quality of the year for him. Fabian Coulthard, Jason Bright. It's Brad Jones Racing all through row 2. Then Mark Winterbottom and James Courtney, positions 5 and 6. It's Ford versus Holden. From 7 and 8, Scott McLaughlin and Alex Davison, Fujitsu and Geldwin cars, 7 and 8. Then 9 and 10, Davey Reynolds and Tim Slade. It's a terrific performance for Tim and the group at Erebus Motorsport.
Rick Kelly is alongside Craig Lowndes, who will start on the soft tyre, the only one in the field. And it's the first time this season he started outside the top 10 in any race. Ditto to his teammate, who we find in position number 16. That is also the first time since Red Bull Racing Australia, 888 Racing have both started outside the top 10 since the Sydney 500 last year. David Wall went into the wall earlier today. Maro Engel has Russell Engel in championship start number 226, the all-time leader now in our sport. Todd Kelly and James Moffat. James has had a wild ride throughout practice and qualifying. Scotty Pye, Michael Caruso, 25 and 26. And Tim Blanchard with Dean Fiore, the Dodo Insurance Racing Commodore for Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport, will start from pit lane. There he is, 49 years of age, 226 not out, 524 races in his career, 27 wins, a couple of Bathurst, a championship as well. What are you laughing at, the age?
No, yeah, well, a little bit, always, but that's a given. But I was actually watching him when we were talking to him upstairs just a few moments ago, and there was a little evidence of mist in his eyes. I think it's actually beginning to hit home a little bit for Russell at the moment, because there is a bit of fanfare. We are having a bit of fun with him, but this has been his way of life throughout his entire adult life. So it's one thing to talk about his V8 supercar record. What you've got to factor in there is what he did in Formula Ford, what he did overseas in open wheelers, and what he's done all around the world very successfully for a long period of time. We've all been through it, but it's coming up to a point in his career now where it's going to change.
He was a good sport on V8 Extra. He came up to reflect on a great career with you guys, and you just bashed him. So Mark Winterbottom, starting from position 5. There's James Courtney, really starting to put a sting in to HRT's campaign at this stage of the season.
And remember, for these guys that are in the top 10 at the moment, Matt, they came out of a shootout on a soft. They've gone back to the hard tyre again now. So this is a yo-yo weekend for them. Grip levels are changing every time they sit in the car.
100%. And I think this Lowndes move is a good one. Number one, it separates the two cars from not being on the same strategy, which gives Whincup and Lowndes a better run at it. Soft tyres early will help Lowndes, no doubt. Green flag.
Last time that Shane van Gisbergen started on pole this season, he won the race at the Clipsal 500 on the Sunday. He starts from position 1 again. Will Davison alongside him as they roar into life again at the SuperArchive Townsville 400. And look at James Courtney, Tander rather, into the dirt, but Will Davison's got a blinder down to turn 1. Now down to turn 2. He's got a 2-car length lead as Courtney takes a big dive on the outside. He won't get through there. Fabian Coulthard holds it, and there's trouble at the back of the pack.
There's a lot of nose-to-tail action in the back third of cars there.
Remember, Craig Lowndes, the only man in the field on the soft, grippier tyre. So look for him to start picking through. It's important that he stays out of trouble. Here's turn 6. Great start from Will Davison. There's Lowndes. Already looking at a move on Alex Davison. And there's Russell Engel, just ahead of Scott Pye.
That was one of the best starts we've seen all year. I'd love to see the 0 to 100k time for Davison. That was a perfect start.
Nice opportunistic move there for Rick Kelly down the inside of Dave Reynolds. Caught him napping, grabbed a spot from him. Trouble, you can hear people locking up in the background at turn 11. Here's the clean order at the end of the first lap. Davison, Van Gisbergen, Coulthard, Courtney, Winterbottom, Bright, McLaughlin, then Lowndes moving up, not unexpected, then Davison. So Craig's grabbed 4 spots already. Todd Kelly and Maro Engel together with Michael Caruso. It's 3 wide through turn 1.
Oh, nervous times Engel shoots across. He's already got damage to the front of that Mercedes. He might have got a little nudge from Todd Kelly. Michael Caruso cuts clear and can't get away quick enough. There's more to play out here. Tim Blanchard on the inside, contact.
A lot of damage there now, Matt, on the right-hand front. That's really had a fair hit. That was a big move, and that ran him wide. Engel ran over the left-hand side curb. Holdsworth also in with damage. So you can see that wheel almost fall straight off.
And look at Todd Kelly refusing to yield in this battle pack.
I think the two Mercedes-Benz E63s actually made contact with each other. Nine's contact was on 4. So Engel and Holdsworth, two drivers.
Pye getting up the inside at turn 11, and there's been a shift around here because Van Gisbergen's now got control at the front of the field. So there must have been a mistake for Will Davison. I'll bet it was at turn 11. That's where everybody's been struggling this weekend. Down the inside now comes Davison. Argues the point with Coulthard and grabs him.
So that's a great fight back and a really quick one too. He went from first to third while we were watching that battle involving Mauro Engel and co. And as we rejoined, he made it very clear to Fabian Coulthard that he had enough speed to take into turn 2 to cut on the inside. So Van Gisbergen starts from pole, surrendered the lead straight away, but now has it back.
Lowndes has continued to claw up here as well. So here's the battle to the final corner. So Will tried to cover. It was at the last corner, all the action. And Gizzy got down the inside. That was a big invitation for Fabian. James got a benefit from that too.
It's pretty wild, wasn't it? There's no room there.
So it was actually Shane Van Gisbergen locked up on approach into turn 13. Here comes Craig Lowndes.
Moves up on Bright. That means he's now 6th. So Lowndes has got the grip, remember. He's got the soft tyre on. He'll absolutely slice through this lot.
But remember, Davison was actually blocking then, and even on the inside line, Van Gisbergen forced his way through, so it's pretty wild.
And it was very good car control because there's no grip on the inside of the road there with all that dirt. There's Lowndes. He's sizing up Mark Winterbottom at the moment, but he's going to have to be patient.
Yeah, really good move by Van Gisbergen. Remember we talked about the Win Cup and Winterbottom at New Zealand earlier this year. One of those moves where you punch it up the inside, your line through the corner is far from ideal, but your man's on the outside. Well done.
And what it did, Larko, was it parked him. So when he got down the inside, he held him wide, stopped him from getting onto the straight, and then was able to maintain the spot. So it was a good bit of driving from both guys. Fabian Coulthard was almost the beneficiary of both of those moves.
Gee, Chaz Mostert's impressive. He's muscled his way past Tim Slade,
who's drifting a little bit at the moment, Tim. So he's down in 13th now. There's Win Cup. Glimpse of car number 1 in position 15. We haven't seen that too often this year. Here's Lowndes down the inside now, Winterbottom. That's for position 5 for Craig Lowndes.
So that's 7 positions now for Lowndes. Up to 5th. And Courtney is the next one to go. I think this is a very good strategy. The only thing that hurts Craig Lowndes is the potential of a safety car.
and the potential is high, 75% chance of a safety car.
Craig's now 2.4 seconds away from the lead of the race. A bit of dodgem car going on back here at the moment. That is Jonathan Webb having a battle with Tony D'Alberto. Chopper shows the story, and Jonathan takes the inside line through one.
That's Michael Caruso just tucked ahead of James Moffat, the Norton Hornets this weekend, and they're rubbing some fresh paint.
Rubbing antennae. Because that was a little bit too close for comfort, the two yellow cars. They've had their hands full this weekend. They're up the inside here of Tony D'Alberto. Tony's hanging on. That puts Michael wide in the weeds.
Great driving.
Yeah, nice work.
Great driving. Very, very good, Michael Caruso. Have not seen a move around the outside there the whole time we've been coming to Townsville, and that is a very good piece of car control as Lowndes heads down the inside of Courtney. Courtney now didn't have to battle with that. He's up to fourth.
So within a couple of laps, unless he makes a mistake, Lowndes is going to be right with Van Gisbergen. Then it's a question of how far he can run on the soft tyre, how to nurse it, how to hold that track position, and hope and pray he doesn't get burnt with a safety car. There's Lee Holdsworth out of the car with damage to the front right-hand corner. Broken suspension on the Erebus Motorsport AMG entry.
So that'll That'll be his third DNF of the season.
It's Jamie down the inside. He's in position 15 and they're all getting into it. So that's the reason why Tony D'Alberto got out of sync with that group. A lot of sliding going on there with the back of Lowndes' car. That's something he won't be able to do too much of, or he'll take the bite out of these tyres very quickly.
Just with Lee Holdsworth, who's out of the car now, and Lee, I know these things are tough. It's been a tricky start to the season for you this year.
Yeah, it certainly has. Yeah, we knew it was going to be tough this year, but we're finding a bit more speed every round, but we're still in amongst all the rat race at the back there. So there was something that happened in front of me. I don't know what happened, but all the cars pretty much came to a stop, and I slammed on the brakes, tried to get around them, and someone punted into the back of me, and I drove up the tyre of the guy in front, so it damaged the right front suspension, and we'll try and get it back out just to get some data for tomorrow, but it's just so unfortunate. It's becoming a common sight at the moment. We need to get out of that rat race.
All the best, mate. Thank you.
Thanks.
So Craig Lowndes has now gone to position 3. He's 1.9 seconds away from the lead. Murrow Engel was involved in all that stuff going on lap 1. So is this the round that we finally get to say, in reference to Engel, we'll check the angle, because I think Engel was involved.
You've been working on that all year, haven't you? As we do pick up on a real racing occurrence, which is Craig Lowndes down the inside. This is a replay of the pass on Fabian Coulthard up into 3rd position. So the speed that Lowndes has got at the moment, his fastest lap so far is a 14.79. Now that's been track affected. At the moment, Van Gisbergen's fastest time's a 15.08. So Lowndes down the inside now, Will Davison up into P2. So it's roughly 0.4 of a second is what he's got. Now, we saw in qualifying 10 cars within 0.3 of a second, top 10. We saw 26 cars within 1 second. So the times here have been very, very concise. For Lowndes to have 0.4 on them already. Now fastest lap of the race, 14.65 on that lap with a passing manoeuvre.
Sorry to disturb you, Adrian Burgess, down here at Red Bull Racing, mate. With all the technology that you guys have and all the work you do on strategy, what was it that motivated you to put Craig on soft tyres at the last minute on the grid?
It wasn't the last minute. We had the plan up our sleeve for an hour or two, but I mean, we didn't do a very good job in qualifying, did we? I mean, clearly the car is better than where we parked it on the grid. So we know we've got some car speed. If you do the same thing as everybody else, we're just going to sit in a train like everybody else is doing. We needed to throw a curveball out there, and at the moment he's doing exactly what we hoped he would, and we'll see in an hour and a half whether we were smart or we weren't.
I know you've all got your legs crossed, mate. I guess that's for a safety car later on, so good luck.
Cheers, mate.
It's turning into a bit of a home run already for Craig Lowndes. In the space of 7 laps, he's gone from 12th to knocking on the door of the lead of this race. And that just shows you the difference between the hard and the soft tyre compound. Of course, it will play a different game at the back end of this race, and depending on safety cars, but within the blink of an eye, Lowndes will have the race lead.
I'm just reiterating that the safety car probability is pretty high here. It's 75%. And Lowndes has got a ton of car speed here. 14.5 the last lap, plays 15.0 for Van Gisbergen. But that'll continue to flatten out with every passing lap. Craig won't have the same performance advantage that he started with.
And also, too, being the only guy in the field to start on the soft tyre, it makes it easier to pick your way through the field. You had 11 cars to get around to get to the front. So there's no question the rest of the field know that there's only one bloke on softs. He never ran into any traffic, didn't have to do any hard work to get past anyone, because they knew they just had to yield as soon as he came up in their mirrors.
That's right, and what it does matter, I've been surprised that guys haven't started on softs more often, because it puts you in control of the race and allows you to run for as long as you'd like to run, and you determine your own fate under that scenario.
He'll get him here at 11.
He will. He'll dive down the inside. He'll basically be in the lead by lap 9 of 70. Now, what it does, he's got to get out by himself, conserve the tyre and run as long as you can. When the stop comes, he then sprints to the end on a hard tyre. I think it's actually a very, very good strategic move.
And Scafie, I think it's worked particularly well because it is Craig Lowndes. Go back through and look at the records. You won't find too many instances where a bloke, even on soft, starts in traffic and threads his way through it as fast as Craig just has right now.
He's won 3 races so far this season, including the last that we saw when we were last at Darwin at Hidden Valley. And here, Craig Lowndes, starting from 12th position after a bad qualifying effort, sticks on the soft tyres and picks his way through the field. You're watching live V8 Supercar Racing on 7 Sport right around the country. And this man, Craig Lowndes, is currently having the time of his life. The only man out there on soft tyres now has the lead by 3.2 seconds after starting in 12th position.
And he just did the fastest lap of the race on the very last lap, 1 minute 14.2. So it suggests he's still got good pace in those tyres. He's opened the margin now to 3.4 seconds.
And we're on board with this great battle with Dave Reynolds and Rick Kelly for the back of the top 10. They're 9th and 10th respectively. And the Falcon right up behind the Jack Daniels Nissan Altima. This is a great section of road. Have a look at this. Watch the body language over the curves. Almost went on. So watch this. This is the straight line run between the FPR Bottle Falcon and then this and Alderman, they've made great progress with this car. There's not too much in the straight line run down there now. 260 kilometres an hour. Well done. That is a really good battle between two of the best young drivers in the field.
Look at this move here. That's Winterbottom getting a job done there on James Courtney, car number 22. So that's for 5th. Jason Bright's just got the watching brief on this little gang as well. And some aggravation down at turn 11 and running wide. Dean Fiore there actually kissed the wall on the exit. Feel pretty violent in the car, and that's his teammate right behind Scott Pye.
This could be safety car.
It's a bit of mirror shroud there, I think.
Well, Lowndes was the first to see it. He won't want to see it.
No. In fact, EB Radio would say that's no problem at all.
What's interesting is that Craig's times continue to get better to the second timing intermediate on the run into turn 11. On this very lap, he's gone quicker, and he's just gone across the control line for the best lap of the race of 1 minute 14.1. He's got the gap out now to 5.3 seconds. What we're seeing, though, is a much bigger drift in the hard tyre pace because Van Gisbergen's in the low 15s now. So on the last lap, Craig was 1.1 seconds faster than Shane Van Gisbergen. So the deg, the speed of the hard tyres tapering faster than I thought.
And sometimes tyre degradation doesn't really work the way you think, because a hard tyre ends up wheel spinning more, they generate more heat, and they degrade worse than the tyre that suits the occasion. So the softer tyre may actually work better here than we think. That's why this, as a policy for Lowndes, is a good one to try.
The other thing that's worth noting in this early phase of the race, just while you watch the strategic games unfold here at home, is that it won't be uncommon through big chunks of the field to get into fuel conservation mode in this early part. You can just be a little bit gentle on your fuel burn in the early portion of the race. It'll serve you very well in the latter part of the race, particularly for the majority who will go onto a soft tyre. They want to stand still for the minimum amount of time, get them back to a full tank, and then blaze on the soft tyre.
Now, the really interesting thing for obviously a huge amount of our viewers as Jamie Whincup fans, Whincup is still way down in 15th position. He started 16th, he hasn't done anything. He's behind Garth Tander, still behind Tim Slade, Chaz Mostert in front of him. He has not done anything yet.
And let's put that into perspective. We know what he's been doing throughout the year, especially in the last few rounds. But over the 5 years here now, this bloke has owned this circuit. 5 race wins. He's only finished outside the top 2 once. That was 23rd back in 2010. So clearly he's not happy with the car. What we saw in practice had nothing to do with what tyres they were using. They just couldn't get Jamie Whincup's car up to speed this weekend, which is an unusual situation for him on any day, but especially at this place. So Craig Lowndes, though, it's a different story when you've got that grip underneath you and you can control your own destiny. That's what he's doing now, and that's the gap that he's got over Shane Van Gisbergen. 26 degrees here on this Saturday afternoon in the city of Townsville, that has come out in full support of the SuperArchive 400, where Craig Lowndes is having a wow of a time out in front now, 9 seconds ahead. Big night tonight, boys. Ian Moss and the Hoodoo Gurus performing. Look at that for a sight. Just keep that CSR chopper going, thanks, and drop us off at Magnetic Island. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.
Isn't that stunning? Absolutely stunning.
There's very little wind around, which just makes it so beautiful outside there at the moment. It'd be nice to be just cruising on one of the beaches up here.
You'd be at the Hoodoo Gurus tonight, wouldn't you? Huh? Miss Freeland?
I'm concentrating on the race mark.
I mentioned Chaz Mostert before. He is in 12th spot now after starting from 14th as we go on board with him. Wilson Security Racing. Larko, what do you got?
Oh, just looking at Chaz Mostert there, mate. I think we've got to pump his tyres up a bit. There's no question this guy's going to be around and part of our future. A couple of reasons. Obviously, he's a talent in the car, got a great natural feel for it. But one thing that's going to hold him in really good stead, I had a little chat to him at Darwin. You might recall he had a real coming together there with Todd Kelly on the last few laps. And he stood his ground, made his statement. We had a chat about the fact that, don't forget, all drivers will go home and watch this on video later. And all of them that will register with them. We saw it early in this race. This guy's going to stand his ground no matter who he's up against. He doesn't care if you're 15 or 20 years older, been around a bit longer, and I like that about this young bloke. He's got a future.
He's 21 years of age now, Larko, and he comes off that weekend not only having that good stoush with Todd Kelly at Darwin, but having his best race result in a V8 supercar with a 7th place in the first race of the weekend. Has form at this circuit. Raced the development series here the last couple of years and won all 3 races in 2010 in the Australian Formula Ford category. The enormous load and the bottoming out.
Greg Murphy actually said when he was in the comm box earlier in the day, if all the drivers looked at these super slow-mos of the tyres, they wouldn't get in the car, because it's actually scary to look at the amount of sidewall deflection. That's Lowndes that we're looking at. Incidentally, his margin's out to 11 seconds now. We're beginning to just see some evidence now of the lap speed in that car tapering. They're on lap 20. So by all estimates, most people that we've spoken to so far, they think that they'll get 30 laps out of a soft tyre, and then after that they'll drop off.
And this is going to be one of those days where David Reynolds and Rick Kelly will be joined at the hit. That's Alex Davison just tucked in behind them. So you're looking at Rick in position 9, Davey obviously 10th and then 11th as they come around to turn 13 as we're perched high above in the CSR chopper. We may as well give you a really good run through this circuit. So onto the main straightaway, the permanent pit lane complex there on their right-hand side. Down to this little kink, which is turn 1, so 6th gear, 250. That's the Ross River that cuts underneath. Back down here to turn 2, 2nd gear, 70 kilometres an hour. Then the short chute up through to 4th, where they find turn 3. And you watch them as they go out towards the left here, and the big kick that they get from the bump right there. Whack! Unsettles the car. Then this awesome complex 4, 5, and then through 6, where the turf is on the left-hand side with all those markings on it, most of them delivered by James Moffat through practice and qualifying, boys. And then turn 7, 8, the curves have been whacking, and now David Reynolds is having a look on the inside at turn 9, and he will get through. What a great move, and what a great view we've had. Down to 11, from 210 Ks back to 70 again. Loop around for turn 12, and that's a lap done at the Townsville Street Circuit.
And all that stuff that you've seen from turn 3 is in the permanent racetrack facility. And then here they get back onto Boundary Street, so back onto a part of the public road system.
Let's get out of there. 22 down, mate. Good job. Good job.
Nathaniel Osborne on the radio to David Reynolds saying get out of there. So he's out of the hot air now, and Alex Davison will have a piece of this as well. They've been in an intense battle, these guys, for a lot of laps. Meantime, Lowndes is out now to 12.8 seconds. He continues to make margin at the rate of around about a second per lap. More of it, though, is coming from the degrading time from Van Gisbergen than it is from Lowndes. So the hard tyre isn't totally comfortable at the moment. This is Rick Kelly. This will be the reason why the pass was done on the lap earlier. So he locked up on the run in there, because I haven't seen him make a mistake up to that point. It's the first lock-up we've seen from Rick. And that was enough to allow David Reynolds through the inside at turns 9 and 10. We'll do a waiter here and watch the field go through for you. So here's Lowndes. It'll be a big air gap, so sing a song, chat amongst yourselves. 13.1 seconds, and it's Shane Van Gisbergen who's next in the queue. Then it'll be Will Davison. Fabian Coulthard for Lockwood will be next in the queue. Will's getting a bit closer, isn't he? Those tyres are hurting on Shane's car. There's Fabian. Mark Winterbottom's all over him like a cheap suit. Then we've got James Courtney. Jason Bright next. Then McLaughlin in car number 33. Davey Reynolds is now clear of Rick Kelly. So Rick is 10th. And look at this. It's on here. You've got Mostert having a battle with Slade. Tanders knocking on the door here as well. Jamie Whincup continues not that happily along in 15th position at the moment. But one of the things that he's been very good at over the years, when he's having a bad day, he'll go for a scoop of points rather than end up with it off the road or in the fence.
You got a bit of heat stroke. You want to take a little lie down in the break and get a drink. You got cheap suits. You got Ingle, Dangle, Angles. You got the lot going on today. Crompo at his best, boys and girls. Take a break and bring you back to Townsville after this. Welcome back. We have eyes everywhere around this Reed Park complex as this fascinating race starts to unfold, with Craig Lowndes now 15.7 seconds clear of the field on the soft tyre. Larko in pit lane.
Oh, Matty, I just reckon this has got really fascinating, this race. A couple of things going on here, aren't they? Lowndes' speed is continuing, so he's getting maybe further into the race than we might have anticipated. So that's going to work differently for everyone else, because the rest of the field will be watching his times. If you look at his last lap times, they're still good, watching that very closely. Now, what that might mean, they might jump onto the softs earlier in the race because they know they can go longer. So this is going to be a fascinating end to this race. And the real competition for Craig will come from those 2 or 3 guys up near the front, not because they're quick, but because they didn't have to battle the traffic that he did early on in the race when he was coming through on his soft tyre. They won't be doing the same thing.
And he was 0.7 of a second faster on the last lap, Craig Lowndes, over Shane Van Gisbergen. And only a couple of laps ago, well into the life of the tyre, he did the fastest first sector we've seen in the entire race. So I'm surprised. It may well be the case that he'll stretch beyond lap 30 from all the popular predictions, although they are laying up in the Red Bull Racing Australia garage at the moment and getting ready for the next incoming tyre set. So You know, he can come in and grab fuel from about now and fuel to the end. But I think on the current numbers, I'd be keen to keep going for a little bit.
100%. So 14.78 on his previous lap. 14.13, his best lap. On the previous lap, Van Gisbergen did a 15.5. He just did a 15.6.
Yeah, so 9/10 of a second on that last lap. So near enough to a second every lap advantage for Craig Lowndes. And some of what they'll do at Red Bull will be also dependent on what the others do. So they may have to cover, they'll keep an eye on it because they're busy. So you've got, for example, these two guys in a little battle here at the moment that's keeping them amused. That's actually helping Craig Lowndes.
And when you're the Lone Ranger out there on the soft tyres, you are, like Larko said, giving the rest of the field a lesson on what the soft can do here today in these conditions.
There will not be a guy in the whole of pit lane who is not surprised by Lowndes' tyre longevity. So they're all thinking right now, how do I think on my feet? How do I change my strategy now? How do I get onto the softs? I mean, if the safety car came out right now, they'd take it.
Incidentally, that battle that we watched where David Reynolds was battling with Rick Kelly, that little mistake that Rick made, he's recovered from it. He had the little lock-up. He stayed in 10th place. It's the only one that we've seen in the race so far, but he's still trucking along nicely just inside the top 10, Rick Kelly. Here's Russell Ingall. Rusty's in position 19 there at the moment. Delberto, James Moffat next in that queue.
Guys, I'm just watching like a hawk down here to see who down on pit lane is ready to jump. And it's interesting, they're all biting their fingernails. I was just talking to Grant McPherson, who's Will Davidson's engineer, and they are watching Lowndes' times like hawks. And he said, oh, well, you know, it's just not quite, he said he reckons Lowndes is just knocking the edge off. And he said, oh, it's a brave call to go this distance on a soft tyre. So I love it when it's like this. They just don't know.
Well, although Craig looks like he's going to get to lap 30 or beyond, Larko, you'd be a brave guy from this point to think I could get 40+ laps out of a tyre set. That's why they'll be chewing those fingernails, because to try and stretch those softs, I mean, you know what it's like. We've seen races where they're dying in the last half dozen laps and you're just walking wounded.
And we do say a lot that you fall off the cliff. So although the degradation is reasonably linear and starts just to fall off a little bit, when they're worn out, they're gone. So they all drop off by a second a lap when they've actually got to the point where they won't work anymore.
Mate, and the smartest thing Lowndes could do right now, seriously, is rub his, look at them all jumping now, is rub his revision mirror up against the wall, get out on the track and get a safety car out.
Here we go.
Is a big call, so they're going to do a lot of laps on a set of softs here. They've taken a cue from what Red Bull Racing have done.
Guys, you did hit mate. A quick light check, please. A quick light check.
And the Ford fuel economy is the reason. Remember, they haven't got the trim switch in these cars. The Fords have had the best fuel economy over the last couple of years. This is the biggest punt we've seen.
But you're driving this race, and I'm your engineer, and I say to you, Scafey, you've got to go out and do 40+ laps now on a soft tyre.
Yeah, big call. Very, very big call.
Yeah, guys, Mark Winterbottom the first to jump in pit lane for 4 new tyres. Good to go. Bit of fuel.
Yeah, it's 42 laps from here. 41 reference to the leader.
So we're on lap 29, 28 full have been done. Lowndes' time is yet to fall off that cliff.
Here goes Craig. So that puts him a lap up. Yeah.
Well,
that's a risk. That's a big risk.
That's a danger.
Yeah.
That last lap for Craig Lowndes was a 1:14.8, so just 7/10 off the quickest lap in the race that he set.
Yeah, so his spread is very narrow there, Matt, from fastest to slowest. But I think the underscoring point here is that every lap of the race so far for Craig Lowndes, and we're into lap 30 now, has all been done in the 14s. That's a big surprise for me.
And if the safety car comes out now, the way this has been configured, Winterbottom's a lap down.
Yeah.
So this is big call. You've got to make a lot of decisions in this game. It's risk management at its finest. You've got to think on your feet. And what you said before, Matt, over 40 laps on these tyres is a big call. The faster you go, the more fuel you use. So the fuel usage is also a big call.
Of course, as soon as there is a safety car, the first thing that Craig Lowndes is going to do is dive into the pit lane. So that relieves that lapping problem slightly. But you're right, it's always scary when you see yourself go a lap down on the leader.
And there is the championship leader coming our way now. Jamie Whincup in 14th. So He really hasn't struck a blow on those hard tyres.
The only reason he's made a spot is that Winterbottom came in for tyres.
Another 1:14 lap for Craig Lowndes. This one quicker than the last by about 1/10 of a second.
Guys, just down in the Team BOC garage with Brad Jones. And Brad, I've seen you running in and out, having a look what's happening on pit lane. What's your update on the strategy for Fabian? What do you want to do with him?
I think it's a bit too early to go. I mean, Frosty's got plenty of car speed, and I'm not 100% sure we're racing him anyway. So I think, 42 laps, you'll get a fair bit of yelping out of him towards the end. It's either a really, really good move, or we'll run him down at the end. So we'll just see. I'd like to try and get a bit further with Fabian, and we're targeting to get him, maybe another 5 laps, but we're just, taking it each lap at a time, really.
We'll keep an eye on it. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
And boys, in response to what we were just talking about with Jamie Whincup, they've had enough. They've brought him in. He has entered pit lane. So they're going to ask him to do 40 laps.
Fuel, please. As soon as you see the fuel. We've got about 20 seconds, boys. We've got the time. Nice and steady for it, Spark.
Remember that he's been too eager to get away a couple of times, so we need to watch his departure.
Look at this pit stop here, drag Rich. So you can see they've done the tyre stop there. That's all very relaxed. Now, he's our fuel guy, and what he's looking at in here, see there and there, I don't know if you can see there's a little digital readout, and that's counting down for him, so he puts precisely the amount of fuel in it and not a drop more, because every litre you put in this car, the car's stationary, and that's bad news.
So clean departure there for Jamie, and the reason that I focused on it was because that cost him in Darwin. So this time the car was cleanly on the ground, accelerated away. So now he's got the soft tyre on a full load of fuel, adjust those anti-roll bars, but he's got a long way to go. 39 laps on a soft tyre.
Meanwhile, update from the front of the field. Craig Lowndes just did a 1:15.8. Now that's a second, straight off the cliff. That's a second. He might have gone off, we don't know. We were in pit lane watching Jamie Whincup being serviced, so that could have been the lap, unless this is an incident that will tell us.
Traffic affected, so it was Blanchard that was in the way there. That's the reason why the time plummeted. So, but that's a good point, and we'll keep an eye on it. But they don't usually go off from one lap to another like that. It usually is a bit more linear. It takes a few laps for it to occur. But we'll watch and see whether or not Craig recovers. So he's got a 20.3 second lead over Shane Van Gisbergen at the moment. It's been held up massively here by Blanchard.
And remember, he's had such a long run where he's had no traffic. He's had nothing to deal with, and he can just concentrate on maintaining the life of the tyres. And now, what we're looking at right now is the problem that you get. You start to come up amongst the lap traffic, and you have to pick your way through it and therefore use the tyre harder.
And the life of the tyre is the critical thing now, Matt, because Mark Dutton said to Jamie Whincup as he drove out, remember to stay off the curbs for 2 laps. We've seen tyre failures. When the tyre pressures are low and the grip level is high, you run onto the curb and it basically tears the tyre off the rim. So you've got to be conservative in the first little part of this and use your head.
Now, a series of cars are in. David Reynolds, Tim Slade, Garth Tander, 3 of them have all come in. Here they are in the lane. So they're getting onto their soft tyre early. Remember that Lowndes is still out there on the soft tyre. We're on lap number 33 of 70. So they're going to do the majority portion of the race on the soft tyre. They're in the fuel window. They'll bring it up to full.
Slade.
And Lowndes is coming in now.
There you go. So he got 32 completed laps.
And there's a little slice of history here, boys, that Aaron Noonan's just pointed out. This is the only Australian track on our calendar that Craig Lowndes hasn't won a race at. So it was a 22-second lead when he came into pit lane, and Garth Tander jiggles and weaves just in front of him. Larko.
And let's have a look at this race. So you can see off come. That's the only set of soft tyres coming off today. Yellow on. That's hard tyres on. So that big gap he had, that's going to work for him now.
They got a problem. They got a problem with the rattle gun in the right front. So they had to change guns.
Yeah, nothing's really going to bother us. No spinning of the wheels, mate. No spinning of the wheels. We should get a clean run out of here. See you, mate.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the fuel stops, isn't it, Neil? You can have a little drama, and it doesn't cost you.
Yeah, so they changed rattle guns there. That was all going on the other side of the car. And away he goes. But it was the fuel that was the determinant for the amount of stationary time. Now it's busy in pit lane. Will Davis and Jason Bright, Scott McLaughlin, Tony D'Alberto. So another 4 cars taking tyres.
and very calm. The great thing about really good race teams, when there's drama like that in the pit stop, it was very calm. Had a failed right-hand front air gun, and they were able to get it done and move the car out without the normal dilemmas.
Scafey, I reckon it's a good indication of the intensity of this race at the moment. Lowndes and Tander making contact in pit lane, and Jason Bright, you know, the drill professional who just came in for his stop, parked so awkwardly in the box, slammed the brakes on, ended up about 30 degrees off the line. He should have been on about a metre further than where he wanted to stop.
And Gisbergen's come in from the lead of the race as well. Thanks for the update, Moretz. James Courtney as well. A little bit of the mirror shroud off the back of either Courtney's or Garth Tander's car down there. Pretty harmless. Here's the guy that was the race leader after Craig Lowndes peeled off pole position. Softs on. So they're basically splitting the race in half. So a half-half strategy for Techno Autosport for Shane van Gisbergen. So Courtney, Alex Davison, Mostert and Caruso all grabbing tyres. So that leaves Fabian Coulthard in the lead of the race. He's got 17.4 seconds over Rick Kelly, who's soldiering on. I'm surprised he didn't end up with a fairly decent flat spot on that front right tyre that we saw him lock up a bit earlier. He must have got away with it.
There's Tim Slade on the soft tyre.
What is interesting, boys, is just even to observe this car race, the different feel and rhythm to it by comparison to either the 100k races that we saw in Darwin or the 60-60 super sprints. It's a very different style of racing, isn't it? Bit of aggravation at the final corner here between Todd Kelly and Tony D'Alberto, who returns serve, and then he gets him again in a straight line.
That could have been really nasty. See it again from this angle. Look at this, one whack.
And then Todd gives him one back again. So that was response and counter response. Oops.
Oh, Russell, deep, 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 deep.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Gonna hold it? Nope. Gonna do some lawn mowing, but manages to keep two wheels on the deck, which means he can get out of there. So Fabian Coulthard.
Oh, drama here for Coulthard with an air gun or an airline or a... Yeah, that's bad.
Cost him just a little bit because the fuel had been done just before they managed to get that on.
So Fabian, Jonathan Webb, James Moffat, Todd Kelly, Murrow Engel, the drivers to stop on that lap. And Fabian comes out, as you heard in the background from Phil Keed on the radio, just in front of Jason Bright. So Fab's got cold tyres there. Again, the evidence of that vibration in the splitter on the front wing of Jason Bright's car looked particularly violent then in the background. Here's a replay.
So there's some controversy about this. The car drops down, and under the strictest of the rules, it should have been jacked up
while they're refueling.
Whilst they're refueling. Now just watch. Yeah, it's right on the edge.
In fact,
Let's see what happens.
I reckon the refueler was on it, then he realised what was happening and actually unplugged it as a result, so someone's dropped it too quick.
When I watched that live, I thought, hang on a sec, they haven't put much fuel in that thing. It was a quick load. So some eagle eyes out there have spotted that as well. And this is a replay of Jonathan Webb's stop.
I think you might find... Yeah, hard tyres.
Yeah, so they've gone hard. They're going to run a shorter stint on their soft tyre.
Well, Rick Kelly now has the lead of the race in the Nissan Altima. An absorbing race, this one, full of strategies under beautiful clear skies here in Townsville. Don't miss a beat as we're at the halfway mark of this race.
Black flag, pit lane penalty, car 19 for a pit stop infringement.
waiting on Phil. Kelly's just going now. Go. You're right. You're right. To go, buddy. 33 to go. Take it easy on the first few laps.
Unfolding drama here at Townsville as you're watching V8 Supercars live right around the country on 7 Sport, and Techno Autosports are in the frame. Both cars under investigation now. This is Jono Webb.
So we were looking at tyres here because they've put a hard tyre back on, but the problem was, and they've actually copped a penalty for it, is they've yanked this car on its fuel hose as he departs. So we were all focused on tyres and we weren't watching the refueling. So also under investigation is car 97, and this was the problem for the left rear, and they had to grab another.
That's a used tyre. Oh, is it?
No, it's a soft, but they put softs on a white sidewall, but a little drama there that held them up, and they'd already done their fueling.
That's the type of qualifying.
So
top 10.
Pit lane penalty for car 19. And under investigation is this car, our pole sitter Shane Van Gisbergen, who has just done the fastest lap of the race at 1:13.9.
And was fueled 8 seconds shorter than all those around. So I don't think that was strategic. I think what's happened is the car's come off the jacks. The refuelers recognised that because the rules state that you've got to be actually jacked up while you're refueling. So he's just yanked it. So it's short fueled. Gee, the car looked violent then on the exit of the curb, didn't it? So that's under investigation, and there may well be a penalty pending here for Shane Van Gisbergen. This is all playing nicely for Craig Lowndes at the moment, but he's on the slower of the tyres relative to the majority of the field, who've now got some grip under them.
Now, just behind us at Techno Autosport, they're just reworking the numbers at the moment. We understand that Shane Van Gisbergen got about 8.5 seconds less fuel than what he needed, so basically he doesn't have enough fuel to finish the race at this point. Now they're working out what they might do and what the exact figure is and how they might bring him in to top that up, but they've got some issues there at the moment.
Yeah, exactly right. Barrett's, that was a real drama unfolding. This is the point, and this is car goes down.
So this is live. He's in the pit lane there at the moment.
What was it for?
This is sorry. So we just saw what he was getting the drive-through for. So he's being pinged for it. This is the drive-through now.
So 8.5 seconds short.
Sorry about it. Come out. Wing it tomorrow.
Yeah, they know their day's done. So he's 31 litres of bioethanol short.
Yeah. So the guy who is really strong now is Will Davison and Mark Winterbottom. The two FPR cars are second and third in the race. They are 18 seconds adrift of Craig Lowndes, but they are on the soft tyre. They'll be coming at him.
Scafey, I reckon you're on the money. I reckon this is going to be great at the end, mate, because remember we said earlier, the difference between them and Craig, they're not going through traffic. Have a look where they are on the track. Clean air. Every single lap on their soft tyres, clean air. Remember when Craig got from 12th to 1st, a lot of traffic, and that adds up to time.
100% Larko, and what Lowndes does not want is a safety car. If there's a safety car, he's smashed.
So David Reynolds here, 11th, has Whincup ahead of him, and further up, Shane Van Gisbergen in position, that is, but not on the road.
Well, with the laps left in the race and the gap that we saw between the hard and the soft tyre for Craig Lowndes versus everybody else, they're going to grab him because the cars are that much faster on the soft tyre. but it's going to depend on all the other variables that happen between now and the end of the race and what their degradation numbers look like. But he's got track position at the moment. He's got 18.2 seconds up his lead over Will Davison. It is going to be a fascinating contest.
And he'll feel like this car feels average now on the hard tyre. He'll be the only guy in the field who's gone that way. The car will not be respecting the way that he's actually driving the car now in terms of how he's got to control himself and not overdrive it. And this is the gap. It's a big, big gap back to the factory Ford cars of Davison and Winterbottom. And for Whincup fans, this is the first little snippet of progress we've seen from Whincup. He got by Dave Reynolds last lap. He's up to 10th now. There's the two factory Falcons. 17.8 seconds behind Craig Lowndes.
And then the two BJR Commodores, Fabian Coulthard and Jason Bright and James Courtney. Scotty Pye and Scott McLaughlin. So Scott Pye yet to stop. And there's Whincup.
So it's a gentle recovery here, and I said earlier in the broadcast that's one of the things he's been good at on the down days. They just yield a decent little result, get some points and live to fight another day, rather than just playing for broke, making silly moves. So they're just weathering the storm at the moment, car number one.
Whincup is 39.9, so 40 seconds behind Lowndes. So that's a long way to find that level of performance. So there's our leader. He's the only guy in the field on hard tyres, and the rest of the field are coming. This will be an unbelievable final 20 laps of this event, because Craig can't do anything about it. He'll be driving the car as hard as he possibly can, and everybody else will be a second faster.
There goes Craig now, so you get some perspective. He's just gone past me. Now, if I was Craig Lowndes, remember we said about hitting the wall and getting a safety car out? If I was him, I'd be opening my door and dragging every bit of debris into the car. Last thing he needs is a safety car. It's a big gap, but remember, I can tell you, we've got our own engineer doing the numbers on this, and those guys look like they'll catch him right at the end of the race. Don't go anywhere. I ain't. I'm hanging down here.
He's a lunatic, isn't he? But he's exactly right. Yeah. This is going to be fascinating. So, right there, 14.7, 14.9 for Winterbottom. Lowndes is in the 15s. On that lap, we said it was 17.9. It's gone to 16.8. It's a second a lap. This whole thing is emerging where they've just hunted him down. You can see those numbers on your screen.
What is interesting, though, is they got into the high 14s in the case of all these other competitors much earlier than Craig. So they didn't stay down that low 14 mark for very long, where Lowndes was able to do it for a longer period of time. Problem here?
Yeah, wheel nut drama on the rear left for the Ecole Commodore of Scotty Pye, who went deep before he took his first pit stop, and it didn't go the way that they wanted it to. But now he's got soft tyres to head back out and join this brigade that is chasing down Craig Lowndes. This is one of the great races of the season so far, and our CSR chopper gives us a bird's eye view of your race leader, Craig Lowndes. Started on soft tyres, did 32 completed laps on that softer compound from 12th position, went right up to get a 22-second lead over the field before they all came in and went on softs, and he had to come back in and go on hard tyres. So, what's the scenario? Well, there's Will Davison. He's 14.5 seconds behind our race leader. The rest of the field now is on soft tyres. They will keep coming at Craig Lowndes. The big question mark is, how long can they continue that attack before those tyres start to wear off and the times start to level out?
And he's catching at a rate of 1 second a lap, which tallies with what we saw early in the race that Craig had in terms of advantage over those that he was racing. But the big question here is that all those competitors that are chasing Craig at the moment have chosen to have a bigger bite out of their soft tyre for the longevity and duration. So my question mark is what happens in the last 5 or 6 laps? And we know, replay here, Blanchard and Coulthard, bit of curb action, and Blanchard's right out in the dusty stuff. We know that there's a couple of factors that you've got to consider in longer races that have been apparent in recent years. Ford Performance Racing have always had pretty good fuel economy. That seems to be a given. 888 Race Engineering branded Red Bull this year, Red Bull Racing Australia. They've been very good with their tyre degradation and consistency on tyres. So when their opponents are asking their tyres to do a longer run, gee, that's a big question mark. So these last half dozen odd laps back into the race are going to be a very interesting equation for me.
Tim Slade's day is done. As you can see here, the Everest Motorsport car has blown a water pipe and the guys are working. The engine actually overheated, so they're working to get that back together and ready again for tomorrow. But Tim Slade, that's tough luck when you started so well in the top 10.
Yeah, it is. We're running sort of relatively strongly at the start of the race, and yeah, just sort of stuck behind another car. We've been having troubles trying to keep the cars cool throughout the year, and we have improved it a little bit, but obviously not enough. And I'm not sure if that's actually caused a problem, but we've ended up splitting a water hose. So it's a bit of steam coming out the back and a bit slippery there for a couple of laps, and yeah, day over.
Bring on tomorrow.
Yeah, start fresh, be good.
Thanks, Tim.
No worries.
So Will Davison has been told that he has to gain 0.7 of a second a lap. 15.59 for that lap for Craig Lowndes. We'll give you the lap time in a second for Will Davison. Remember, that's not linear. So he probably needs to gain more than that, 14.49. So 15.59 place, 14.49, 0.9 of a second on that lap.
But isn't that the double-edged sword? That's the double-edged sword. You ask him to use up the tyres as much as you can to get as close as you can now. But what happens, like Crompo was saying, in those last few laps when it really starts to fall away?
No doubt. That's why Davison's in better shape than Winterbottom, because they're 5 laps younger.
There'll be nothing worse than making all that ground up and then watching the bloke pull away from you in the last lap or so.
Well, Will's got to get 37 laps out of a tyre. Craig Lowndes got 33 out, and my point is that Red Bull Racing Australia have been the champions of tyre longevity. So if they only got 33, it's going to be a very hard task for others to get more than that. Someone's got a broken header out there at the moment. You can hear the exhaust rasping in the background.
High, I think.
Sounds awful.
Yep, that's it.
Sounds like an old tractor out.
Sounds like he's been to Neil Crompton Motors for a little tappet
yes.
adjustment.
Sounds like Crompo's mowing the lawn.
Hey, Neil, I think the other interesting little aspect to your comment there about Red Bull being the kings of tyre longevity, just remember these guys had probably their worst qualifying performance we've seen for a long time, so we can't suggest that they're actually completely on top of the cars yet either here.
Correct. Jamie Whincup's in 9th position, Larko, after starting 16th, and Lowndes, of course, leading the race after starting 12th, so they're making amends.
Van Gisbergen super quick at the moment. 13.6 for him is the best lap of the race. 1 minute 13.6, and he did that previous lap. That one there, he's got some traffic now, as you can see. It was in the 14s, and he's battling away with Jason Bright. He'll be a bit revved up after having to tour the pit lane as a result of the pit lane infringement. Dropping the car off the jacks while it was still being refueled is a no-no. Actually, I think it's Bright's car. Bright's car that's got the broken header.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it sounds awful, doesn't it? And that'll be as a result of the big shock that goes through the car and clouding the underbody of the car across these curbs. The danger there is that depending on where the fracture is, be a little bit careful that you don't end up melting something around it. because it means there's hot exhaust gas escaping from the exhaust system prematurely somewhere further up the system than they would ideally like, rather than at the exit of the exhaust.
Gap back to 10.6 seconds. Lowndes 15.6 on that lap. Again, we'll give you the Will Davison lap time, 14.52. This is great because, as we said, this all looks good at the moment, but there'll be a time when that yield is not that. So almost, so 0.7, 1 second, 1.2, 1 second on lap 50. They're good numbers at the moment, but they won't stay like that.
So Andrew Edwards, engineer for Jason Bright, just taking a big deep breath. Wally Story on the left, Brad Jones in the background. Former driver Steve Reed there as well. Does some work with that team. Has worked closely with them over a long period of time. It's a bit of a shot of all the action through turn 6 and that extended apron on the outside of the corner.
They've been quite well behaved through turn 6 in race trim, haven't they? It was a different story in qualifying when they decided to use as much as they could. He's the man. We've already pointed out that he's yet to win a race at this circuit, the only one in Australia where he's failed to stand on the top step of the podium. He's finished second twice, and not surprisingly, both of those were to his teammate.
19 to go.
And there is your effective second position. Will Davison now 9.6 seconds. So last time around, Lowndes did a 1:15.89 on the hard tyre. Davison does a 1:14.6 on the soft. Advantage Will,
who's had a win already in New Zealand.
And he's got to get this done cleanly. Well done. Good job. Those sorts of passing manoeuvres are critical in these sorts of times of races.
Yeah, it didn't cost him any time, MS, but see the greatest motivator of all there for Will Davo was he came round onto the straight. He just sided Craig Lowndes for the first time up the straight. No better way to get your ass into gear.
See, Van Gisbergen actually had it sideways at turn 1 there. And he was positioning to get down the inside at 2, and Jason left some space for him.
Yeah, that's important what Larko is saying. There's David Wall. So there's Lowndes. And it won't be too long before we see Will Davison, which means he can see Lowndes. He'll come down here towards turn 11. He'll look over towards his right-hand side and you'll see car 888. There's Jeremy Moore, Lowndes' engineer, with Adrian Burgess watching very carefully.
Larko's point's a good one because it's astonishing how much difference it makes mentally when you can see your target. Instead of just being radio theory, you can actually see the number.
And both ways. 16.2 for Lowndes, 14.6 for Davison. Lowndes' degradation is worse on the hard tyre than it was on the soft tyre.
And there's traffic involved in that as well. So 7.3 seconds is the margin now between Lowndes and Davison. So Ford Performance Racing, the Pepsi Max entries are 2nd and 3rd at the moment. David Reynolds is 10th. Alex Davison is 11th. So 4 of their cars in the top 11, but in particular at the moment, 2 of them potentially on the podium, and 1 of them is odds on for the possibility of getting to Craig Lowndes and making this a real contest in the back end.
And you just get that concern that when you're on the soft tyre for that long, it's going to be a case of giveth and taketh away. There's every chance that Will Davison will round up Craig Lowndes and then that tyre will start to not perform like it has. But both are searching for their first win at this circuit. Gripping race in more ways than one.
Go, mate. 15.6 for Lowndes. ready to go. We've sent the email about the blue flags, mate.
Nail-biting stuff at the SuperArchive Townsville 400, because Will Davison has Craig Lowndes well and truly in his sights now. 4.4 seconds, make that 4.1 seconds, is the difference between first and second. Lowndes on the hard tyre, Davison on the soft. Russell Ingall heads into pit lane, Lee Holdsworth, so the enforcer's got a lot of smoke coming out of the back. He's got a power steering problem, we're being told. This is Tim Blanchard, is it? No, that's Chaz Mostert in the foreground, and there is the enforcer getting loose on the grass at turn 6.
Well, if the power steering assistance has failed, the steering weight's up massively. It'll be almost impossible to steer that car. There's the gap first to second. Lowndes in car number 888, Red Bull Racing. And for Pepsi Max, it's Will Davison. Got some traffic there with David Wall at the moment. That hurts. So a 16 neat for Lowndes. So he hasn't got good lap speed. It was 14.7 on the last lap for Will, who's now also had to deal with some traffic. But the gap is the critical number, 3.7 seconds.
Wow.
And, you know, you can't write Frosty out of this equation either, because he's just stalking along nicely in third spot here at the moment. He's only 6.2 seconds off the lead of the race.
And let's remember, in championship terms as well, our leader, Jamie Whincup, is in 8th. Second and third on the championship are battling for the race win here. Lowndes and Davison.
And what we also haven't seen is the Van Gisbergen. He had to come in and put some fuel in because of that short stop from earlier on. So Van Gisbergen, who was being the fastest guy today, a 13.68, considerably faster than anybody else. Craig Lowndes, 14.13 is his best lap.
So 0.8 of a second gain for Will Davison on the last lap. A 1 minute 15.9 for Craig, a 1 minute 15.1 for Will. 2.8 seconds the gap.
And Grant McPherson was just counselling Will to try and look after that rubber as much as he can now.
And boys, this, as you just said, this isn't just about Will. Have a look at the times Mark Winterbottom's been punching out. Last couple of laps, he is well and truly in this game. Scafey, don't you love it when the Fords are going well, mate? Hey, it's good.
I like the competition, Mark. I like the competition. It's very good. I like it. I like it.
Don't wind him up, Larker. Actually, yeah, wind him up, Larker. So Mark Winterbottom is 3 seconds adrift of Will Davison, so just 5 seconds off the lead. He's going to have to get past Dean Fiore.
Well, what I was about to say there is that it's not about the Ford and Holden thing. What it's about is coaching Will to get to Lowndes, because what he should do now is sneak up on him. Don't go too hard too early with this, because there's still a long way to go. If the tyre falls off the cliff, you're gone.
The other consideration with Mark Winterbottom in particular, remember, he was the first one to get onto the soft. His tyres are 5 laps older than his teammate Will Davison. He's going to have to be super cautious at the back end. So he's already done 28 laps on a soft, 29 now as they click over, and Will's done 24 laps on the soft. Look at this, the gap is now completely reduced. It's on. There will be a lead change. And Craig's got no pace at all on the hard tyre, none whatsoever. 16 flat on the last lap. So they're terrible numbers compared to what his opponents did on the corresponding tyre at the start of the race.
Just saw the hashtag for the Twitter handle to use this weekend, V8SC, and I reckon Troy Ridgely, who's fired one in during the break, has said it perfectly. Will has Lounsey in his crosshairs. Target engaged. Take him down, big guy.
Well, as I said, this is a good position to be on when you've got the better tyre quality and you're coming at the leader and you're going to round him up. This is going to happen very quickly. But what you've got to do then is be conservative once you get to the lead and don't go too fast. You only need to win this race by a car length. Ensure that the tyre doesn't degrade. And there he goes, down the inside. Lowndes gives him room. Very nice move, well done.
And now comes the next part of the equation. That is, how long now can these tyres last, these soft tyres last for Will Davison? We know that Lowndes will hang in there. We know that Winterbottom's charging, but he's been asked to do 40 laps in total on his soft tyres. So it's not over yet, even though Will gets past here easily, and Lowndes knows that. This is not over yet. There's still 12 full laps to go.
And if I'm in car 6 at the moment, I'd be rolling out of it big time. You know, Mark's point is exactly right. All he's got to do is win by a millimetre. There's Grant McPherson, group in at Pepsi Max Ford Performance Racing. So he just needs to back it right out now and basically measure his lap speed off the bonnet of the Red Bull car.
And it's your teammate. You back it off to the guy who's going to pass Red Bull. Winterbottom's probably going to get to him. So then you just work the system where you just drive the car as slowly as you can to win the race. Jack Brabham was the absolute best at it. His great saying is, good race drivers win races by the by the minimal margins. And this is one of those days where Craig Lowndes has done a great job. He come from a poor qualifying performance in 12th position. He was nowhere. Jamie Whincup, his teammate, has been at the back of the top 10. He's currently 8th. This is a day when Davison and Lowndes are going to make big gains on Whincup in the championship. But Davison can't afford, he's in 3rd position in the championship. He can win this race if he uses his head.
Guys, see this line of fluid? It tells a story. That fluid was formerly from the power steering system of Russell Ingall's car, and that's it for the day for the Enforcer Unfortunate. Russell and Julia Engel, great team. Russell, we wanted you to do so much more this weekend on your 226, but it's not to be today.
No, look, a real shame. You know, the boys were just showing me the graph there, and we were the fastest car on the track for that last segment. The car hasn't been special on hard tyres, but it's been really fast on soft tyres. So I knew as soon as we threw them on, I was going to come through them. But we were on for a pretty strong top 10 finish, I think, pretty easily. But the power steering actually blew out, so I'm not that strong. I can't do it without power steering anymore. Not like the good old days.
Now, Julia, I've got to ask you too. You've been alongside Russell for these 226 starts. Just highs and lows of motorsport, aren't they? You get this, you know it.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more lows than highs, which is a bit of a shame. But it's been awesome. I'm a bit emotional about it, you know, about it coming to an end. It's been fantastic. We've had a great time. Very proud of Russ. I want my Rolex or my big trophy for putting up with him for 226 races.
Hey, we all do.
I deserve the trophy.
Julia, we can only imagine the pain you've been through. Good on you guys. Of course, we're going to miss you. You're one of the mainstays of this championship, and we hope to see you for many more years around here too.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Thanks, guys.
We treat our heroes well in this game. You guys bashed him up in V8 Extra, and Jules has a go at him, and so does Brett. So, Mark Winterbottom has rounded up Craig Lowndes while you were doing that, Brett, so it means that Ford Performance Racing are now 1 and 2. Really interesting to see if Frosty can take it all the way to the line. Another clean move on the inside down here at turn 2.
Still a big yield for Lowndes, so to be 12th and then 3rd is good. Here's Whincup up the inside now, McLaughlin. And that was a move that got him to 7th place, so he's made that one stick. Only just got away with that one. There's a bit of brake locking in the background, and there's team manager Adrian Burgess, Red Bull Racing.
And remember, Croppo, that this weekend, because it's only a 2-race weekend, the split of points, he gets a greater yield today. So anything he can do in these races to beat Jamie Whincup is better than the normal weekend of a higher number of events. So he will definitely be thinking about it. Davison will be saying, I'm making ground on him.
What's bizarre is the total lack of speed for Lowndes. 1 minute 16.7 on the last lap. If he keeps this up, though, the danger is he'll fall into the clutches of Fabian Coulthard. Now, Fabian is 5.4 seconds behind him, and Craig's losing speed at an incredible rate at the moment. Here we are on board car 14, Kiwi Fabian Coulthard. And on the numbers that we're looking at the moment, he may well grab Craig Lowndes. I just wonder if it's all tyres or he's got some other glitch going on, because it's got no pace. I mean, a 1 minute 16.7 on the last lap, it's terrible.
But both of them haven't. Whincup in the first segment of the race on hard tyres had no pace either. So the Red Bull cars on hard tyres have not worked today.
I'm going to grab Tim Edwards, team principal down here at Ford Performance Racing. both of us, mate, happy blokes when Ford's going this well. First of all, are the cars going to be strong enough on their soft tyres to last this extra 10 laps?
I certainly hope so. I mean, yeah, Frosty's done 33 already, so he's looking to do 43 laps on him. I think we're looking all right. I mean, even the hards are dropping off now. If you look at Craig's plummeting backwards.
Tim, you had 4 cars in the top 10 in qualifying, possibly going to get 4 in the top 10 here in a race result. Great result at Darwin. The team is very, very strong at the moment. You must be happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of hard work from everybody who works for the team, so and it doesn't come by accident. But yeah, look, we're not there yet. I never like to count my chickens yet, so I mean, we've still got 8 laps to go, but fingers crossed.
Great to see you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Fabian Coulthard made another 1.2 seconds on the last lap. He's now 4 seconds behind Craig Lowndes, so he's just nailing that margin.
Check out Betty's little setup in Erebus Motorsport. Got the flowers there, got the iPad running.
Mercedes hat.
Mercedes hat, so they're the provisional championship points. Shows that Craig Lowndes taking a little chip away from Jamie Whincup. That was a good point too that Larko made to Tim Edwards, with all 4 Ford Performance Racing entries just about inside the top 10. Davey Reynolds is in 11. He's got Scott McLaughlin in front of him. So Will Davison and Winterbottom 1 and 2, and Alex Davison in position 8. Good run.
Very good job by Mark Dutton and Jamie Whincup here to roll along in 7th. We saw the positional move on the replay a few moments ago. This is just a really good, solid recovery from an appalling qualifying by their normal standard. And he's just chipped away slowly but surely, and that's big points and a solid outcome, and they can tune it up for tomorrow and make more gains. But this keeps him well and truly where he needs to be in his points fight.
Yeah, very much a tale of 2 different cars here in Red Bull at the moment. Just keeping a close eye on Craig Lowndes. Adrian Burgess is here in the middle. Adrian, Craig just seems to be losing a little bit of speed at the moment.
Yeah, we've started to lose the rear tyres, but I mean, from where we started, only car to go on the soft at the start. We had to roll the curve forward a little bit. I mean, we clearly didn't do a very good job in qualifying, but we've dragged out as good a result as we can at the moment. At the moment, what we're looking at, we'll take this, get on with it and do a better job tomorrow.
So Virgo, tyres only, no other problem?
No, the car's fine, it's just tyres.
And then good news for Jamie as well, moving up 9 spots.
Oh, it's not good news because we shouldn't be able to move up 9. We should be near the front, so we're doing as good a job as we can of recovering the inadequate job this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what you get used to when you qualify so well.
2.1 seconds the last time through. We'll get an update on that now. This is the gap, Coulthard to Lowndes. That's Lowndes up in the foreground. It's now 1.6 seconds, so he's going to snatch a spot here from him.
Yep.
Because Craig did a 1 minute 16.2 on the last lap, and Fabian's done a 1:14.8. In fact, Fabian is massively faster than anybody else out there in the top group at the moment. Actually, Winterbottom's got good pace considering the age of the tyres as well. He's done 36 laps now on a soft tyre, Mark Winterbottom. So he's done more laps on the soft tyre, not only than those that are out there at the moment, but anybody earlier in the day, which was Craig Lowndes, did, what, 33. So that's a pretty good job to make them roll along that fast, that long.
And again, too, when you can roll up behind your teammate, it's going to help at the back end of this race, and that's certainly been the case for Winterbottom. So it's a different story now for Craig Lowndes. He's got the Lockwood Commodore ready to pounce.
Yeah, and I think just reflecting on your comments there, boys, the other thing this is going to do is hot up the race tomorrow. Let's not forget that, because this soft tyre is going a fair bit further and performing better than we perhaps anticipated, and that's going to open up your strategic options for another look at another race.
Tony D'Alberto there in pit lane, up on the jacks. This is David Reynolds in 10th spot, and a reminder, get your tickets for our next event at Queensland Raceway, the Coates Hire Ipswich 360. If you get your ticket by Monday, you can go into the draw on v8supercars.com.au to join us there at Queensland Raceway and perhaps take a ride with David Reynolds if you're keen. I've been for a hot lap around Queensland Raceway. Scared the life out of me, all of those bumps. It'll be a wicked ride with Davey, who now pushes into the top 10. So all 4 FPR cars are there. And look at this. Craig Lowndes is about to surrender a podium spot to Fabian Coulthard. Not that he wants to surrender it, he's got no choice in the matter.
And he's vulnerable to Bright as well. Here he's going to get up the inside on the run through 9 and 10. He's got much better traction The rear of Craig's car sliding everywhere through the bumps on Boundary Street. And that's a positional move for Fabian to position 3. That gets him on the podium, and that was Bright in the background with a broken header on the Team BOC car. So he's going to also grab Craig Lowndes in this process. So Lowndes is really scratching.
Yeah, Brad Jones just here, and there was great excitement. A few tense moments there watching Fabian. That was a great move. Good to get on the podium, fingers crossed.
Well, we still got a little bit to go, but it's fantastic. I mean, FPR got a bit too much for us today, but we're driving to a time, and you know, as you said, it's great to get on the podium.
Did Brighty get up to 4th spot ahead of Craig?
I hope so. It's got a broken header. It doesn't seem to be knocking the speed of the car around a little bit, but it sounds terrible. So he get a little bit of trouble with lap traffic, so hopefully he can get to Craig. He's about a second lap faster, so I think he should.
Brad, good luck.
Thank you.
So Fabian Coulthard already 3 race wins for the season, but 8 podiums. He was on the podium all day when we were in Austin, Texas. Couldn't repeat that at our last round in Darwin. And I'd be interested to see here if they touch.
Yeah, this is close. It's not normally a passing spot.
No.
No, it's just that there's so much attitude on the cars there that they're sliding, and there's a gear shift involved, so it's 3rd to 4th mid-corner, which makes the cars dance, plus there's a surface change. And the big moment here for Craig Lowndes, wide at 6, big rooster tail, puts him even in greater peril when it comes to the gap back to Jason Bright. So he's out of grip, Craig Lowndes.
Look at the look at Jeremy's face. He's had a bigger deep breath than Craig would have. That was pretty intense moment coming out of turn 6.
How's the roller coaster day they've had?
Oh,
I mean, it was, you know, absolute nirvana at the start of the race when he's out there on the soft tyres by himself. Then they knew it was coming, and now all of a sudden he's under attack left, right and centre.
And Bright's 1.8 seconds behind Craig Lowndes at the moment, so that's the dispute for 4th and 5th. Meantime, 2.8 seconds is the gap, Davison to Winterbottom, and Frosty's done 39 laps on a soft tyre at the moment. He's still barrelling along. He was only 2/10 slower on the last lap. These guys are racing each other.
got to go slow. Got to slow down.
They've got huge airspace over everybody else. They want to be careful because if they end up on canvas, they'll hand this to Fabian.
Through turn 6, so there's Bright. Remember last time they went around, Lowndes set up the smoke signal to say, might just lose you for a second because I know you're coming. So can Craig Lowndes hold on to 4th spot? It's still a net gain of 8 positions from the start. So still a very good gamble. And surprisingly enough, the times didn't come to him on the hard tyre at the end of the day, not the soft tyre.
Well, really early in his stint, he drifted well outside the normal range of speed, Craig Lowndes. Doesn't it sound horrid, that thing?
Sounds like a Massey Ferguson.
So let's do a lap speed check. Andrew Edwards on the phone to Jason Bright. He gained 4/10 on that lap. It's 1.4 seconds. You can see it quite clearly on screen. So Lowndes clinging by his fingernails at the moment. Davison still got 2.8 seconds over his teammate Mark Winterbottom. That's an extraordinary run on the soft tyre, the Dunlop soft tyre for Mark Winterbottom. He's banked 40 laps on the soft, and it's still rolling along with great car speed. Well done.
And they're driving it very nicely, Neil. Both the guys, Will Davison and Mark Winterbottom. Just listen to the throttle progression. Watch the way they turn the car, how accurate they're both being. These 2 cars have been the class of the field today.
And I made the remark earlier in the day that it's been 888 Race Engineering Red Bull that's been the king of tyre longevity. That's not been the case today. It's these guys. So well done, Ford Performance Racing, Pepsi Max. You made the cars work on both tyres, which is critical, and you had the fuel economy too.
And guys like McLaughlin, who have been so competitive all week, their tyre life has dropped off unbelievably. Scott's back in 12th position now. Dave Reynolds has come up into the top 10. So FPR will have 4 cars in the top 10. Fantastic job.
Well, they went through their trials and tribulations leading up to Darwin and then into the Darwin weekend. They're a very good team at sitting down and sorting out their issues. Well, the issue today has been tyre life, and these guys have done it better than anyone. A wonderful reception for Will Davison. And the Ford flags are flying high here at Townsville. For the first time in 3 years, the Falcon will be on the top step of the podium. And the second race win of the year for Will.
Great job.
He made the rubber work.
Great job, brother. Great work. Awesome stuff. Great drive.
And he wins a fascinating race with his teammate, who's milked the life out of this Dunlop soft tyre like nobody else in the field.
Great bounce back, 1-2. That's really cool, man. I really enjoyed that.
And Lockwood Racing's Fabian Coulthard on the podium again. Craig Lowndes, outstanding effort. He fought them all off. They took the gamble, and he finishes in 4th. There's Mark Winterbottom, 2nd. So that's 3 races in a row now where he's been on the podium. He finished 2nd on the Sunday in Darwin. He won on the Saturday. And now Will Davison gets his name on the winners list at Townsville. And breaks a run of 4 straight wins by the Holden Commodore. Only 5 guys have won at this circuit now, and Will celebrate. So he did 37 laps on the Dunlop soft tyre. There's always questions to be answered in this sport. I reckon the biggest question now is how many donuts has he got? Oh, he got the fence. A little love tap. Explain that one when you get back to the garage, Wilbur.
Awesome stuff, buddy. Great work. Mate, I just accidentally hit the bloody concrete. It feels alright. I couldn't see.
Oh, that's great.
It's actually shifted the wing over, so it's the whole boot lid. Yeah, the whole boot lid's moved across. So it's moved the wing, moved the boot lid, damaged the left rear quarter. So he's just assigned them a couple of hours' work tonight.
He won't be that won't be a popular move in the garage, that one. Great job, these guys today. They drove very, very well. Their car was sensational on both compound tyres. Fantastic bounce back for them. 1, 2, 4 cars also in the top 10. They have been the class of the field. Only little blemish, a little donut.
If you're going to have a crash, it's better to have it on the other side of the checkered flag then, isn't it?
Yeah. And slow.
That's a good point. And at 15 kilometres an hour.
16th career victory for Will. And maximum points, 150 points in the bank.
Cars are in parc fermé, can't be worked on, but you are permitted to send 1 crew member in to check the finishing tyre pressures. That gives them an indication as to whether they got them right in the final hot tyre pressures when the cars are running. So
you watch what happens. He'll go around, he'll do this little celebration, but he'll go around and have a look at that left-hand rear corner just to check what the damage is.
That's a great drive.
So have a look, watch this. Oh no, he's got to the guys first. That surprises me.
He's playing poker face. He could celebrate with his teammate.
Yep.
So 1, 2, 4 FPR. Brad Jones Racing and the Lockwood Commodore up there on the podium as well. And then Lowndes, Bright, Courtney, Whincup, Tander, Alex Davison.
There he is.
Chaz Mostert.
That was always going to happen, Matt.
How's that, boys? Chaz Mostert finishes ahead of Davey Reynolds. So Chaz inside the top 10. And that makes 3 top 10s now for Chaz in just 4 events.
The celebrations for Will Davison continue down here. Will, I just get the feeling that that win just meant something special to the team.
No, it really did. It meant something special to me and, you know, equally to the team, if not more, because, you know, we're coming strong, as Frosty and Dave showed in Darwin, and I've been pretty determined for this event. You know, we feel the passion of the Ford fans. You know, there's not many of us out here at the moment, but we're really proud to represent this team, and we obviously want to get wins on the board. So every day they're like, come on, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And we're coming strong. So this is for the team who've worked incredibly hard. Obviously, all our sponsors are Pepsi Max and everyone you can see on our car, my personal sponsors. just a mega job, 1-2 as well. And I hit the wall doing donuts. Can you believe that? That's the clumsiest thing I've ever done. But just a big hello to everyone at home. My mum, Margie, Tony, all my family.
Good on you.
Sweet as.
Congratulations, mate. Great win. Well done.
Cheers.
Mark Winterbottom, we were just talking about how good this is for the team. Anytime you can get a 1-2 for your team, it's magnificent.
Yeah, that's a fantastic result. It started today with 4 cars in the top 10 shootout. I think that's a record. That's a first, and yeah, 1-2 on the podium. That sort of caps off a great day. So great to see, to get Will get the win and we get the second. It's a good day.
And a nice little bump up in the championship too, Frosty. Well done.
Where am I?
I'll let you know just a second. This man knows where he is. Fabian Coulthard, congratulations. Very nice for you, and you managed to round up Lounsey there in those last few laps.
Yeah, look, it was pretty good, but these 2 blue cars next to me were just simply too fast. But we had a slow stop. We had a wheel nut struggle to come off, which, I'm sure everyone's had their fair share of wheel nuts not coming up this year, so it's not an excuse. But look, good to get the Lockwood Commodore onto the podium. We had fast in qualifying. We were 3rd in the shootout, so not all bad.
We'll let you get up there and enjoy that podium. Well done, Fabian.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, another podium for Fabian Coulthard. So let's run you through the results here. Ford 1 and 2, and then a whole stack of Holdens. A great effort from Garth Tander, who started 15th and would end up in 8th position. I've already mentioned Chaz Mostert inside the top 10. He started from 14th, so David Reynolds just hovers on the outside of the top 10. Todd Kelly midfield in 16th, and Maro Engel there. And then the DNFs of the day belong to Russell Engel, power steering problem, and Lee Holdsworth went early. So too did his Erebus teammate, Tim Slade.
Well, Craig Lowndes, what can I say, mate? Wow, you did provide us a great race. That was a fabulous first stint. We were really surprised, though, as you were probably, the tyres just didn't hang in there on the second stint.
No, I suppose, Larko, that we had to do something different. We were stuck in 12th. We didn't want to sort of circulate with everyone, potentially get caught up in an accident or an incident, and then, of course, then try and fight our way back. So we opted to go, obviously, with a soft tyre early on, which also split our cars, so we didn't get caught up in if there was a safety car period. Had a great first stint. Got through some traffic, got to the lead, extended the lead. I was hoping to go a little bit further, another 5 laps, and the softs would have been quite nice, but they weren't quite there. But as you said, the hards we got in there, we pushed hard, knowing what the soft had done, but the actual hards went away faster than what I thought.
I reckon you've done everyone a favour tomorrow, because you went longer than we thought and better than everyone thought on a set of softs in the first. Come with me, mate. I'm keen to see this left rear tyre around here. Let's have a look. Come down under here, mate. We'll get right down in this. Look at this. Now, a tyre usually has about 3.5 mil of tread depth there, mate. I can tell you there's probably about a mil if you're lucky, and it looks awful, mate. It really doesn't look good. What was it like to drive on that?
Well, look, JJ was always saying to me, don't lean on the left. Don't lean on the left, lean on the right. And of course, with the softs, as I said, they hung in there pretty well. So I thought, of course I didn't. As drivers, you don't listen. And punched away and of course, then lost that left rear. And as you know, as soon as you lose drive around here, you're dead. People can gather you up under brakes, get the drive out of the corners. Look, I'm very thankful though to finish 4th. I think the guys in Team Red Bull did a great job.
Absolutely. Yep. No, well, you've provided us with a really good incentive to watch tomorrow. I reckon it's going to be a fascinating race. Thanks, mate.
No worries. I hope the whiteboard looks really good now with all that soft, hard combination going on tomorrow.
Well, if you come and have a look at it, mate, you might get it right tomorrow.
Good, I will. Thanks.
Well, he's chopped into the lead of his teammate in terms of the championship. Jamie Whincup had a 159-point spread over Craig Lowndes before this race, now down to 135. Mark Winterbottom was 7th before this weekend, so he's moved up a couple of spots as well, and another 150 points on offer tomorrow. Time for the podium. Brett's.
The Superarchive Townsville 400, our 20th race of the year. Would you please congratulate our winning drivers? In first place for Pepsi Max Crew FPR Ford, Will Davison. In second place for Pepsi Max Crew FPR Ford, Mark Winterbottom. In third place for Lockwood Racing, Fabian Coulthard. And representing our winning team from Pepsi Max Crew FPR Ford, Grant McPherson. Making the presentation of the third place trophy is Councillor Jenny Hill, the Mayor of our host city, Townsville. Presenting to second place is John Hathaway MP, the member for Townsville. Making the presentation to our winning team is Mike Dozier, Managing Director, PACCAR Australia. And presenting the winning trophy is Gary Mulvey, Executive General Manager of our naming rights sponsor, Superarchive. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 V8 Supercars SuperArchive Townsville 400 Race 20 winners.
It's only the 4th time that Will Davison has been on the podium in 20 races this year, but twice now he's been on the top, and he's the 5th driver this season to have won more than one race. What a day for Ford Performance Racing.